Welcome to another edition of Fireside Chat with Mayor Jeff Genung. I'm Mayor Jeff Genung. On last night's council meeting...
What? Whoa.
Yeah.
What is this, Riley? What's the meaning of this?
Sorry, Jeff. Yeah.
Let me get rid of my glasses.
Yeah. I thought I was just filling in.
Yeah. Anyways, this happens a lot. This is Riley Weldon. Did I say that correct?
You did?
Yeah?
Yeah.
Manager of Planning and Engineering Services?
Planning Services. Yeah.
Services?
Yeah,
okay.
Planning Services. Yeah.
Riley and I get mistaken for one another all the time, all around town. All the time, Riley is getting interviewed by people, asked about questions about politics and how it is to be the mayor of Cochrane, and Riley fills in perfectly. He's my doppelganger, not only in life but also in the town of Cochrane. So the reason I've got Riley here was, one, to identify the difference between Riley and I, which is striking, right? Yeah. I don't understand why people mistake each other, us for each other, but
I don't know either.
Anyways, you are working on an important piece of work for the town right now.
I am.
Maybe just take a few seconds and tell people about it?
Sure. So I am leading a project called the Land Use Bylaw Review, and it is a very important review for the town of Cochrane because the Land Use Bylaw controls and regulates how land is used within the town, but also how land is developed. So the buildings and the structures that you see within the town is all regulated by the Land Use Bylaw. So it's a very important document, and we are reviewing it this year, and so it's very important to get involved, to let us know what?
Let us know what? How can people get involved?
Well, people can go to letstalkcochrane.ca/land use LUB, excuse me, and you can find out more information there. And you can also provide comments to lub@cochrane.ca. And so we want to hear from you to let us know what issues you have, what some concerns you have with development in Cochrane, and also what's working well, what you think is working really good for the town. So we look forward to hearing from you and letting us know your thoughts.
Awesome. Well, thanks for hijacking the Fireside Chat this morning.
Anytime.
So I just thought that we'd have a little bit of fun this morning just to kick things off, but now you can give me back my microphone.
Okay.
And we will carry on with last night's council meeting. Thanks, Riley.
You bet. Thank you.
All right. Here we go. All right, Riley's out of the picture, and now we're going to talk about last night's council. So it was a long meeting last night. It started with a public hearing from the Jones Estate lands, commonly known as Jones Estate, up in Gleneagles. The application for land use and rezoning from urban reserve to residential, so R1, was on the docket last night. We had a very full gallery, and so the public hearing started at 6 p.m. and went until I think just after 10 p.m. So 4 hours of public hearing before we got to the council meeting. And the reason it went so long, there are regulations that are supposed to be in place that I can call upon to limit public giving their input on things to 5 minutes. But I felt with so many people in the gallery and all the emails that council's been receiving upon this application, I felt it necessary to listen, and that the people of Gleneagles are exercising their right and using the process available to them in our procedural bylaw to come to a public hearing, and if they're going to take time out of their evening to come and tell us, council, what they are thinking and what their concerns are, then I think that it's our job to listen. So we did that last night, and it went on for quite some time. There is obviously no decisions made at public hearing, so that will be decided, I believe, at the September 24th meeting of council, where we will have second reading and council will debate everything we've heard from the applicant, staff's presentation, and then all of the people from all the community associations and condo associations that made presentations last night. And I just want to once again thank everyone involved for having their voice out in the public, and that is exactly how the system is supposed to work. And so hopefully we will, well, I know we will be listening to your input and make a decision accordingly. So that being said, and Riley being out of the picture now, let's move on to the council meeting, which actually we had to pass a motion to go past 10 before we even started the meeting last night because we were still in the public hearing. So fun procedural things always on the go here in Cochrane. So first thing we talked about actually was transit. We moved transit to the front of the agenda. It was buried a little bit deeper in originally, but because of the lateness of the evening, and we did have quite a few people in the gallery to listen to what council had to say about transit, so we moved transit up in the agenda and we talked about that first thing, so just after 10 p.m. Again, if you want to check anything out from the meeting last night and don't believe the words that I'm saying, you can catch it on our YouTube channel. Go to cochrane.ca and follow the links to the video. Again, council's live stream now, so you can watch it live or you can go back anytime and check in on the agenda items. So anyways, transit, we had a healthy debate. We had another input or another presentation, sorry, from the Transit Task Force highlighting the costs associated with and asking for council to send administration off to get a request for proposals. So council voted in favor of that last night, unanimously I must say, to ask administration to go out now and get quotes, so proposals from contractors, private enterprise, to provide the service standards that the Transit Task Force is recommending. So they're asking for two different quotes, one on an expanded service that will have more hours and more days of the week, or the recommended action, which was from the task force saying the service standards from, and I'm not going to remember all the dates and times, but it's a more streamlined service to launch the plan with, so that we can, it would be a little more of an easing into transit rather than leaping in with all of the service standards. So council did vote in favor of that. I would say that if you want to have your voice heard about transit, if you're concerned about transit in any way, for or against, you need to reach out to council now. Council has, as I said, asked admin to go back and get the costing now, real numbers for transit, and it will be included in our debate in the budget process late November, early December, and so we will look at the big picture of the funding of the town of Cochrane and the budget and how transit can fit into that, and so that we can make a decision at that time ultimately to move forward with transit or to not move forward with transit. There's been a lot of talk about it. I'm sure everybody's aware of all the pros and cons and how we've been talking about it over the past few months, but if you want your voice heard, you need to reach out now and let council know what you want in your community. So that was transit. Flipping all around here, we talked about some bylaws. We put first reading on the floor last night for a cannabis development permit that basically, well, no debate at this time, but administration has found a bit of an anomaly in the cannabis bylaw, which if you were a business in town already, you would have been able to apply for well, you would just change your permit and have cannabis. So this is just a cleaning up of the cannabis bylaw, which will be debated at next meeting. We then went on and talked about corridor planning and a design project. This was a notice of motion brought forward by Councillor McFadden. She was asking for the Griffin Road corridor, so the Griffin Road stretch all the way through town. Obviously it's a very important corridor to Cochrane and has implications in the future of how we should develop that, and Councillor McFadden wanted that highlighted and a report brought back from administration so that we actually have a detailed plan in place to initiate how we want Griffin Road to look like. So administration actually came back and is suggesting that we look at more corridors around Cochrane. 1A corridor, the Railway Avenue corridor, River Avenue, 5th Avenue, and Griffin Road. So for all of that, we've sent administration away to include that in this year's budget deliberations. The cost of doing this would be around $100,000. Of course, we would decide ultimately during the budget if we can afford to do that, but that is right now, if we have the funds available and it doesn't affect taxes too greatly, we will be looking at putting that in the budget and looking at all those corridors, as I said. Next, we had Ms. Lowe from admin come forward and ask for a development compliance officer appointment. Happy to announce that we have hired a new development officer. His name is Ian Hope, goes by Bob. I thought it was a joke at first when I saw the mailboxes and saw Bob Hope on there, but if you see Bob Hope in our community as a development compliance officer, it's true. We have Bob Hope on our team now, so welcome aboard. We then talked about finance, and there was a request from admin for a capital budget expenditure to replace the flat roof at the library and on the sign shed, at the roads sign shed down at the roads department there at the shop. And so council directed $40,000 from the facility life cycling reserve to replace a leaky roof on both of those facilities. That was, and then last thing, and I actually got an email today about this, someone asking where it was on the council debate. Obviously we went past midnight last night, so I really understand if you weren't tuning in right to the end, but there was a notice of motion brought forward to look at some grass cutting in Bow Meadows. There was a section of grass in behind some of the homes that was previously mowed by the developer originally, and then carried on by the town for a few years, and then since the flooding, admin had stopped, or the Parks Department, from a policy put in place by the administration and council at the time to stop mowing this area, and we've heard from residents that they would like to see it back on the mowing schedule as a bit of a park and open space. So that was brought forward last night for administration to bring back a report of the cost to do that and exactly what section would be mowed and how it would be affected through the flooding and what was the purpose of not mowing it in the first place. So that is going to be coming back to council next meeting for a report from admin, and then ultimately a debate of council whether to move forward with that. And that was it. We basically had a small agenda, but a lot of items on it that took some time, and I just wanted to highlight, hopefully this is not the last time I can come to you live from outside here in the beautiful Cochrane Ranch. Already we've got fall colors blooming behind me. I think that's a sign of times to come, that soon those colors are going to be gone, and here we are moving into winter. So let's cross our fingers that that's not going to take hold quite so quickly, and we have some summer left to enjoy. So thanks again for joining me on the Fireside Chat with Mayor Jeff Genung. I am Mayor Jeff Genung. Thanks for tuning in.